March to Freedom, Day 27. Welcome back to Dudes Ascend, where we talk about how to elevate ourselves as men. We are on day 27 of our March to Freedom from Porn 30-day challenge. And today, I gotta talk about it, you guys. The slap heard around the world. Holy crap, man. Will Smith. What? Anybody didn't see the Oscars last night? I'm sure you're seeing the recaps this morning. I was watching it live. Holy crap. I am an actor as well, so I gotta talk about this today. I feel that it very much relates to what we talk about on this channel of elevating ourselves as men, and we gotta figure this out. Is that okay to slap someone like that in defense of your wife, in defense of your family? And what is the deal? Very important conversations to be had here when we're talking about things like toxic masculinity, things like that. In what ways does a man appropriately defend his family, and also taking accountability for your own actions and things like that? A lot to talk about today. But before I get into it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to Dudes Ascend. I'm trying to help as many people, especially men who are dealing with porn addiction, and also just thinking about men's issues. How do we elevate ourselves as men? So subscribing to the channel helps this channel grow. Make sure you leave a like button and watch this video all the way through so you can hear my thoughts about how does this happen? How does something like that happen? And let's deconstruct it. So let's get into it. So all kinds of topics to get into around this slap. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars on live television, man. At first I thought this was a stunt, man, but I went and watched the slow-mo videos, and I was like, no, I think that was real, dude. And especially after seeing the unedited version of the audio of the way he was yelling afterwards, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. The whole audience was obviously stunned. Chris Rock, I couldn't figure out how this could be a beneficial publicity stunt in any way when Will being, minutes away from possibly winning his first Oscar ever, which he actually did, which was just so weird, but then the other thing that made me think it was real was Chris Rock did an amazing job of playing it off, I think, and kind of woosahing through it. But he did get slapped hard enough to be now we're here to give out a documentary. What he's trying to say, give out the Oscar for the best documentary. Man, what a mess. But yeah, I think it was real after watching a couple slow-mo replays and things. And yeah, so why did that happen? And I promise, guys, I'm going to tie this back around to our challenge that we're doing here. But, like I said, I do think this very closely relates to a lot of relationship issues that we've already been talking about. A lot of issues around toxic masculinity and things like that. So it's definitely relevant. But I just feel like I had to talk about this today because I'm thinking about it a lot. I was watching the Oscars live last night, and like I said, I'm an actor. I'm hoping to be at the Oscars at one point, so just need to weigh in. So to me, I'm thinking of a couple factors, right? Already, just the psychoanalysis of how someone or why someone like Will Smith would do something that extreme in a moment like that on live television. I think that, one, as an actor, I believe that this role that he did, King Richard, where he's playing Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, which is an amazing movie, and it really made me sad that whole event happened, because it kind of really took the spotlight away from what could have been an amazing win and victory, and like kind of shining a light on what an incredible story that film shows, and just the unlikely story of this father in Compton, LA, raising two daughters who end up becoming like Wimbledon world champions, repeated champions. I mean, it's incredible, but I believe that Will Smith going into this role and studying that, and all of the learning and getting into character that he had to do to get into this guy's mindset, Richard Williams, who, you know, his dedication to this vision of that he had for his daughters' lives, and all of the ways that like literally genius and insanity are there's a very fine line between the two, and some of the things that he was able to do, and like just the rules that he broke along the way. It was like he had this vision that no matter what, his daughters were going to get to this place, and there was a very, very protective energy around there, one, and also a very, very like, I don't have to play by the rules, like I'm creating my own reality here, and you know, I can, you know, shit on, you know, top agent who wants to you know, sign my daughters real young. I tell them no, you know, they're not going to play in any juniors matches for 8 years. That's unprecedented. Like, what? All these decisions along the way that he was like, yeah, we're not doing that. I think that kind of mindset has to affect you as a person and as an actor who's like getting into that character. I believe that like some of that character was still in him in that moment of like, oh really, like you're gonna say that about my family? Well, here's what's gonna happen. Like the level of just like balls that takes to do something like that on live television, I think that character had to be with him at some point. The protection aspect of just the I'm willing to do things that nobody else will do, I think that's one part of it. I also believe that a lot of this was like repressed anger and humiliation and things from Will's past relating to him and Jada's relationship. There was a very public scandal for the past handful of years with Jada talking very openly on her talk show about the you know, infidelity in their marriage, and her whole entanglement, which was really an affair with the singer August Alsina, who was much younger than them, and it was a very messy situation. And Will was on that on her show talking openly about it, which I don't believe, based on the persona that he's, you know, built over his entire career and how much of a family man he's liked to present himself as, and really like taken a lot of care, I believe, to like create this image of himself. I think that was very humiliating for him to have this like open conversation and dialogue about, you know, his wife cheating on him. And he, you know, if you've seen their conversations on the show, like you could see a lot of emotion, a lot of humiliation in him. I believe he's someone who has a very big ego, you know, and I think that was very hard for him to deal with, being embarrassed like that, and, you know, having his wife like talk about this thing. So I could see how that might play into, you know, that kind of suppressed anger and somebody else sleeping with your wife, and then and now she's sick with alopecia. I believe that's why she's had to have like a shaved head and stuff. And I don't know how difficult of a journey that's been with this illness or how serious it is, but I think that plays into his protectiveness as well. But also like this it can't feel good to know that somebody else was sleeping with your wife or whatever, no matter how open their marriage is. I don't know how people do that, do like open marriages and things. To me, like, I'm married, having a relationship with one person is complicated enough, but when you open that door to other people coming in and intimacy and stuff, like, but yeah, I could see how maybe a lot of these unresolved anger and issues and humiliation and stuff playing into that moment as well. And who knows what kind of history Will and Chris might have had. I'm not even going to speculate on that, but who knows if they've, had disagreements or dislikes or beef or drama in the past. The other thing to consider is that I've seen in interviews Will talking about that he grew up in a pretty abusive home where he watched his dad, punching his mom in the face, and pretty violent, abusive upbringing and things. And the ways that, when you're young and a kid and you're wanting to protect your mom from an abusive dad, how that kind of anger and suppressed rage and things, and you were too young to protect your mom at that time when your dad's like beating her up or something, how that might play into him now being, who he is now, and someone making some kind of transgression or threat to his wife in the moment and just snapping. And I mean, he definitely did snap, right? Like, that is just unbelievable, especially knowing that you're up for Best Actor and possibly about to win your first Oscar ever. Just minutes away from that, to do that in that moment, it's also very concerning to me of like his mental state. Like, that's kind of like a cry for help type behavior. It's something that is just like so outlandish and extreme response to like what was really kind of like a mildly Jada obviously didn't like the joke, but it's like, if you did feel like you needed to take some action like that, like, do it at backstage, guy. Like, meet the guy at the after party or something, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it just shows some kind of like instability there going on with him, where and I believe he has also shared in past interviews of like his own mental health struggles and things. So I don't know, to me that really indicates someone who's a bit unstable anyway to do something like that. It's concerning. So let's tie this into the idea of like toxic masculinity and relationships and and violence as men, like this tendency that we have as men to be choosing violence. Is there an appropriate means to defend your family? Of course, like part of a father's role, a husband's role, you want to protect your wife, you want to protect your kids, protect your family. But my first thought right off the bat is like, there's no way that to really think that through, that you can. I mean, I believe that's got to be doing so much more damage to his family and to his wife. I mean, I imagine that Jada would be pissed about that afterwards and be like, what did you just do? But the amount of damage that I think that he's doing to his family in the aftermath of like trying to deal with that, and just how many people are talking about it, and what sort of an embarrassment that might be. Like, I feel like if he was really thinking that one through, he would probably see that that's actually doing a lot more damage to them to choose something like that. And if he's not seeing that, which, based off his acceptance speech when he did win Best Actor about 15 minutes later, it sounded like some pretty lame like justifications of it, of like, bringing God into it and saying like he's feeling called in his life to protect the women in his life right now, and he wants to be a vessel for love and stuff. And it was just like, what, man? Like, I think that he had a real opportunity there to apologize right away, to apologize to Chris, to make it really clear that like he messed up in the moment and that he shouldn't have done it, and it felt like he was already defending it, and maybe it was too fresh, you know, for him to really be able to like have that clarity come in. But I don't know, man. I think that was a big missed opportunity to start taking some responsibility and to take some accountability and be like, yeah, that I was wrong for doing that. But he was already kind of defending it and being like I gotta defend my family and blah blah blah. And it's just like you could feel the audience cringing, dude, like while he was saying it, man. So that's my whole thing, man. If something was really serious and you feel like somebody really crossed the line and you needed to address them, like, do it privately. I think the appropriate thing to do there as a man is to have a face-to-face conversation or confrontation with Chris Rock, either backstage or at an after party or whatever. You know, I'm sure you're probably gonna come across them at some point, and you could handle it there. And even if you feel like you gotta slap him, like, do it. Don't do it on live TV, my guy. You know, in the middle of an award show, like, that was just so, it was just so shocking. Like, I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. But, you know, I think we've got to get to a place as men where we're really dedicated to avoiding violence as much as humanly possible, and only ever like escalating things to that point when, you know, someone's actually trying to cause physical harm to you or your family, or, you know, whoever you need to protect. And then you step in to defend yourself or defend the ones you love, you know, from actual harm. But to escalate to that point that quickly, and to begin to decide, okay, I'm gonna get physically violent now, like, I think that is just such a mistake, and it actually causes more danger for you and your family. You know, it's we gotta realize that as men, like, you know, de-escalating is such a more protective skill to have than being this ultra fighter kind of thing. Like, I think that's really key to understand, is that de-escalation is a much more protective skill in the long run and in general than you know, the fighter mentality of, you say something wrong, I'm gonna slap you. Like, that can create so many more dangerous situations than being able to just, you know, choose your battles, you know. So this really ties into some of my other videos and discussions we've had about, like, anger being one of the main triggers of addiction. I have one video from the 21-day challenge that we did where I talk a lot about avoiding anger, because that is, like, in the 12-step circles, they say angry, hungry, tired are like the trifecta of things to really try to avoid ever allowing yourself to get into that zone, because you lose control. You lose control of your mental capacity. You know, you would have to be in a kind of blinded by anger state to do something that outrageous, like slapping someone on live TV, because you're clearly not in a space where you're seeing or connected to consequences of your actions, thinking things through logically. If I do this, what might happen? You know, it was just like he got triggered and he did that, and I don't know, like, if today he's thinking about it, like, what the hell did I do? But this is why it's really key for us to, as we're exploring recovering from addiction, and it's not just about not watching porn, right? We're starting to get into the underlying deeper things that are making you reach for that addiction in the first place. And controlling anger and learning how to navigate that emotion appropriately and in a healthy way is really, really important to this journey of like elevating ourselves as men, to changing our lifestyle. And so there's all kinds of ways and practices, breathing exercises, taking a walk, doing different things to de-escalate yourself to where you're in this anger state to where you can't think straight and you can't see consequences, to bring that down so that you can be clear, be present, be understanding of what is the best way to be protective, to be safe, to keep me, myself, and my loved ones safe. Like, you can't see those things from a blinded, rageful, angry state. So, I think it's a really relevant and important conversation to think about. I'll leave the link in the end screen to my Avoid Anger video where I go a little bit more into depth on that. Bottom line, guys, when we're talking about toxic masculinity and trying to explore and discover new ways of being men that are healthier and that are more aligned and in this like divine masculine state, I think, it's just clear that like slapping someone, taking it to that level of physical aggression is just never appropriate, especially in a situation like that. It's like super never appropriate. On live TV, I mean, you're putting your whole career, everything that he's built up to this point, from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to his a beautiful performance as in King Richard, and a beautiful story. Like, there's so much that he's done up to this point that really now has kind of a stain on it, and it makes me sad because I was a fan of Will Smith, and I can't defend that. And like I said, I'm kind of worried about his mental state, but most importantly, like the story, it really kind of takes the shine away from the film, because I think I even mentioned it. I watched that film recently, about a week ago or so, and I think I even mentioned it in one of my videos because I felt so inspired by it, and his performance was so good, and it's just such an incredible success story and a powerful example of like how we create our own reality, and staying dedicated and focused on your vision no matter what, and not allowing outside voices of doubt and questioning, and ways that we really can create our own reality. I mean, this character that he played was just so inspiring in that way, almost like I said, almost like an insane level of dedication to his vision of where his daughters were going to get to. And it's just really unfortunate for an incident like that to kind of take the shine away from the story, the film, Venus and Serena's story. Serena looked pissed, by the way, afterwards, when they were cutting to her during his acceptance speech and stuff. And I can understand it, because it's kind of like tarnishing their story. It's like, man, we got this far, you're right there, and now you're gonna kind of mess it up by doing that. It just, I don't know, it's a really big shame. And I hope that he will have the clarity come in the aftermath of this to really take some steps to try to take accountability for that, and make it clear that, like, yeah, even if you are feeling really protective of your wife and everything, like, that was not an okay thing to do, because he is someone who has a whole lot of influence. He's got a huge fan base. And you know, when you are on that kind of pedestal, if you're putting out a story or digging your heels in and kind of your stance is that, yeah, well, slapping people is wrong, but like I gotta protect my family, so like if you say a joke about my wife, then like I'm gonna do this, then like people who are really ride or die fans of him are gonna be like, oh well, yeah, they're gonna take that to heart and start getting aggressive with anybody who says any kind of sideways thing about their girlfriend or wife or kids or whatever. And it's like, that's just promoting violence, and it really is, like I said, it's actually putting more danger on you and your loved ones to be that willing to escalate, than to start building the skill of de-escalation. And yeah, man, so those are my thoughts on it. Let me know in the comments section below, what do you think of, as a man, if you're watching this channel, or as a woman, anybody watching this channel, what do you think about what happened at the Oscars last night? Was he wrong for slapping him, or did Chris Rock deserve it? Or, is it appropriate to, defend the honor of your wife or your family in a way like that? Let me know. I'm curious to see what people's thoughts. I'm sure people are going to be chiming in on it all over social media today. And like I said, I hope this doesn't feel like too tangential to the channel and our challenge of porn recovery, but I think it is very relevant when we're considering, dealing with anger appropriately, and how anger and relationship issues filter into addiction and things, because we gotta find ways, as we're working on recovery, to be dealing with our emotions appropriately, and anger is a big one to figure out how to navigate. So yeah, that's why I felt like I had to talk about it today. Me and the rest of the world, I'm sure. But I hope you guys felt that this conversation was interesting. Like I said, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are in the comments, and I will be back. We've only got a few more days on our challenge. I'll see you guys again tomorrow on day 28, March to Freedom. Peace.